Hello students, welcome to Gopal iCampus. Gopal iCampus is a dedicated channel for the students primitive. What is karyon? Karyon is means nucleus. Karyon means nucleus. So a cell with a primitive nucleus is called prokaryotic cell. What is meant by primitive nucleus? So here there is no well-defined nucleus. Let us suppose this is a bacterial cell. And in this bacterial cell, this is the genetic material. This genetic material is not enclosed in a definite nuclear membrane. So that is why there is no definite nucleus in prokaryotic cells. But at the same time, eukaryotic cells, they are having a darkly stained spherical body in the middle of the cell. And in this darkly stained spherical body, you can find the genetic material, right? So this is in eukaryotic cell. So prokaryotic cells are the cells which do not possess a definite nucleus, where the genetic material is not enclosed within the nuclear membrane. So what are the examples for prokaryotic cells? They are bacteria, cyanobacteria. These cyanobacteria are also called blue green algae. Blue green algae. And then mycoplasmas. So what are these mycoplasmas? They are also called PPLOs. What is meant by PPLO? Pleuropneumonia-like organisms. Pleuropneumonia-like organisms. PPLOs means pleuropneumonia-like organisms. And the other example is actinomycetes. And then there are several other examples like rickettsias, etc. Right? So these are the examples of the prokaryotic cells. And these prokaryotic cells, they are smaller in size than eukaryotic cells. They are smaller in size than eukaryotic cells. Let us see the sizes of eukaryotic cell and prokaryotic cell. So in this diagram, and this is the eukaryotic cell. This is the eukaryotic cell. See the size of the eukaryotic cell, it ranges from 10 to 20 micron. And this is the prokaryotic cell, that is the bacteria. See how small they are when it is compared to the eukaryotic cell. So this is how the prokaryotic cells are smaller than eukaryotic cells, right? So next, the prokaryotic cells, they multiply faster than eukaryotic cells. That means the prokaryotic cells multiplication is much faster than the eukaryotic cells. Their rate of reproduction is higher than the rate of reproduction in eukaryotic cells. Right. Now let us see, so each and every structure present in the prokaryotic cells. First we will go to the genetic material. Right. So already you have learnt in the definition that there is no well-defined nucleus. Then where the genetic material is present, the genetic material is present. So the genetic material is present in the cytoplasm. So here this is the genetic material. This is the genetic material. And this genetic material is just present in the cytoplasm. So that genetic material is the chromosome. The genetic material is present in the chromosome. It is just present in the cytoplasm. It is not surrounded by any nuclear membrane. So that is why there is no well-defined nucleus. And this genetic material, it is not surrounded by any nuclear membrane. That is why genetic material is called naked genetic material, right? So because it is not surrounded by any membrane, it is called naked genetic material. And this genetic material so is present in a single chromosome. So there is a single chromosome. In prokaryotes, genetic material is present in a single chromosome. And this single chromosome, it is made up of a single double-stranded DNA. Double-stranded DNA. Chromosome is made up of single double-stranded DNA molecule. Right? So in addition to this single double-stranded DNA molecule, you can find some small circles of DNA also. Small circles of DNA are also present in the uh, bacterial cell. And these small circles of the DNA, they are called plasmids. Plasmids. They are called plasmids. Right? And these plasmids, they provide antibiotic resistance to the bacteria. So that means whenever a bacterial infection is there in your body, you take antibiotics. These are the medicines. When you take antibiotics, antibiotics kill the bacteria so that you will be protected from bacteria. But the bacteria which are having the plasmids, they cannot be killed by the antibiotics because they are having antibiotic resistance. Because the plasmids are having the genes which provide antibiotic resistance to the bacteria. So this is about the genetic material of the prokaryotes. Now let us go to the different structures of the prokaryotes. First we will go to the outermost structure, that is a cell envelope. And this cell envelope is a chemically complex envelope. So it is a chemically complex structure. See, in this diagram, you can see these three layers. They are together called cell envelope. So there are three layers. These three layers are called cell envelope. The three layers of the cell envelope are glycocalyx, cell wall, and plasma membrane. So here what is glycocalyx, what is the cell wall? This outermost layer, that is called glycocalyx. Glycocalyx. And the layer present below this, that is the cell wall. Cell wall. Right? And the layer present below the cell wall, that is the plasma membrane. That is the plasma membrane. In this way, the cell envelope is made up of three layers. Now let us study the details of these three layers. First, let us go to the glycocalyx. 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 So what is glycocalyx? Glycocalyx is the outermost layer of the cell envelope. Outermost layer of the cell envelope. In the previous diagram we have seen, it is the outermost layer of the cell envelope. In this glycocalyx, it is made up of mucus or polysaccharides. It is made up of mucus or polysaccharide. In this glycocalyx, it helps in protection of the bacteria and also adhesion of the bacteria to the surfaces. This glycocalyx, it is of two types. What are those two types? One is a slime layer. So what is slime layer? See in this diagram, and you are able to see slime layer, right? This is slime layer. So slime layer is a thin and loosely arranged glycocalyx. Thin and loosely arranged glycocalyx is called slime layer. And this slime layer, it is made up of polysaccharides. Is made up of polysaccharides, carbohydrates, right? And what is the function of this slime layer? This slime layer, it helps in preventing loss of water and nutrients by the bacteria. It prevents loss of water and nutrients. Loss of water and nutrients. Right? So the next one is the capsule. So what is capsule? This is the capsule. So capsule is thick and tough layer. This is the capsule. It is the capsule. It is the thick and tough layer of glycocalyx. Thick and tough glycocalyx. It is called capsule. It is called capsule. Right? And this capsule, it is made up of polysaccharides and also some proteins. It is made up of polysaccharides and also some proteins. And what is the function of this capsule? It gives gummy and sticky nature to the bacterial cell. Gummy and sticky nature to the bacterial cell. Another function is it protects the bacterium from immune system. Right? So this is one important function of the uh, capsule. Then we will go to the cell wall. Cell wall is the layer that is present below the capsule. That is present below the capsule. Right? So let us suppose this is the uh, let us suppose this is the glycocalyx, and below this glycocalyx is the cell wall. Cell wall is present below this glycocalyx. This is the cell wall. Is present below the glycocalyx. Right? So this is the cell wall. Right? Cell wall, it is the thick and rigid layer of the cell envelope. This cell wall is made up of peptidoglycans. They are also called mucopeptides. They are also called murin. They are also called muramic acid. So the cell wall is rigid because of the presence of peptidoglycans. It is rigid due to the presence of peptidoglycans. Right? And this cell wall can be broken by the antibiotics. Antibiotics, the best example is penicillin. So antibiotics like penicillin, they go and act on this cell wall. And they disrupt the structure of the cell wall. And when they disrupt the structure of the cell wall is either ruptured or it will be dissolved. In this way, antibiotics protect ourselves from the bacteria by killing the bacteria. This cell wall, it provides a shape to the bacterium. provides shape to the bacterium. So a bacteria, it can be either spherical shape, or it can be rod shaped like this, or it can be spiral shaped like this. And all these, it can be comma shaped like this, like this. All these shapes are because of the presence of the cell wall. This cell wall protect the bacterium from bursting, right? So when the cell wall is present on the outer side of the bacterium, so like this, let us suppose this is the cell wall, and when the water keeps on entering into the bacterial cell, the bacterial cell keep on swelling, but it can swell only up to a certain extent. Up to here only it can swell. And beyond that, it will not swell, because this is cell wall. It is rigid, and it is preventing the bacterial cell from further expansion, and thereby protecting the bacterial cell from bursting. So in this way, the cell wall provides a shape to the bacterium, not only shape, and it protects the bacterial cell from bursting. With this, we have completed out of 3 layers, 2 layers of the cell envelope. The next third layer is the plasma membrane. Before going to the plasma membrane, we have to discuss one more topic, that is Grom's staining procedure. So what is Grom's staining procedure? So it is a special technique that is used to stain the bacteria. So bacteria are stained with Grom's staining procedure. Bacteria are stained with Grom's staining procedure. And this procedure, it was developed by Christian Gram. So this procedure was developed by Christian Gram. He developed this Grom's staining procedure. So what is this Grom's staining procedure? So it was developed by Christian Gram. And this Grom's staining procedure is used to classify bacteria into 2 groups. What are those 2 groups? One is called Gram-positive bacterium. The other one is called Gram-negative bacteria. How they do this Grom's staining procedure? How they perform this Grom's staining procedure? So that we are going to learn now, right? So here first, they will take first they take the bacteria like this. So here they have taken bacteria on 2 slides, and first they add a stain called crystal violet. So this crystal violet, it is also called Grom's stain. It is also called Grom's stain. When you add crystal violet, and the bacteria, they turn deep blue in color. Deep blue in color. And they wash out the extra crystal violet from the slide, and they add iodine solution to the bacteria. When they add iodine solution, bacteria, they turn deep purple in color. And again, so they add a decolorizing agent. So generally they add ethyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol. So they clean the iodine solution with ethyl alcohol. When they add ethyl alcohol, some bacteria, they lose their color. They lose the purple color and they become white, colorless. In some bacteria, they can retain their color, purple color. These bacteria which retain purple color, they are called gram-positive bacteria. These bacteria which lose purple color, they are called gram-negative bacteria. And again, they add another pink colored stain called safranin. When safranin is added, the gram-positive bacteria, they remain deep purple in color. The gram-negative bacteria, they turn pink in color. So in this way, to classify the bacteria into gram-positive and gram-negative, so this Grams staining procedure is useful. So in this Grams staining procedure, the stain that is used in the Grams staining procedure, that is crystal violet. Crystal violet is the stain that is used in Grams staining procedure. This crystal violet is also called Grams stain. So here some bacteria, they take up the Grams stain, some do not take up the Grams stain. Those which take up the Grams stain, so they are called gram positive bacteria. Those which do not take up the Grams stain, so they are called gram negative bacteria. They are called gram negative bacteria. Right? So the gram positive bacteria, they remain deep purple in color, and the gram negative bacteria, they become pink in color after adding safranin. Right? So in this way, the Grams staining procedure is done to differentiate bacteria to gram positive and gram negative. Gram positive and gram negative. Right? So next we will go to the next topic, that is the plasma membrane. So plasma membrane is the third layer of cell envelope. What is plasma membrane? It is a thin, transparent and selectively permeable membrane. So it is thin, transparent and selectively permeable membrane. Right? It is present below the cell wall. Right? And with this plasma membrane, so the bacteria, they interact with the outer world. This plasma membrane, it is similar in structure to that of eukaryotes. See here, plasma membrane is made up of lipids and proteins, mainly lipids and protein. And these lipids, they are arranged in two layers. This is one layer and this is the second layer. So like this, they are arranged in two layers. That is why these two layers are called lipid bilayer. Lipid bilayer. So in case of the eukaryotes also, the plasma membrane is made up of lipid bilayer and also the proteins and few carbohydrates. Few carbohydrates. That is why it is similar to eukaryotes. Now this plasma membrane, it shows some invaginations. It shows some invaginations. And these invaginations are called mesosomes. Mesosome. See here, this is the plasma membrane and this plasma membrane is showing invaginations like this. These are the invaginations of the plasma. So these invaginations, they are called mesosomes. They are called mesosomes. Right? So these mesosomes, mesosomes are seen in only gram-positive bacteria. Mesosomes are seen in gram-positive bacteria only. They are present in gram-positive. So these mesosomes, so they are in the form of vesicles, tubules, and lamellae. So what are vesicles? Small sac-like structures. So they are called vesicles. Tubes. So these are the branched structures that are seen in. So tubules. Lamellae. So that means plate-like structures. All these are seen in the mesosomes. All these are seen in mesosomes. In these mesosomes, they perform several functions. So what are the functions of the mesosomes? One, cell wall formation. They help in the synthesis of the cell wall or formation of the cell wall after binary fission between the two daughter cells. They help in the replication of the DNA. Not only that, so the replicated DNA should be distributed between two daughter cells. That distribution of replicated DNA is also done by the mesosomes. Replication of the DNA, distribution of the replicated DNA to the daughter cells. And these mesosomes, they help in respiration, also secretion. Not only that, they increase the surface area of the plasma membrane, thereby surface area of absorption of nutrients by the plasma membrane is increased. And they increase the enzymatic content of the cell. Because so the plasma membrane, it possesses the enzymes required for respiration and other functions. And as more and more plasma membrane is present, more and more enzymes can be seen in the plasma membrane. So in this way, this plasma membrane, so it helps in several functions. The mesosomes help in several functions.